Vertigo is a 1958 psychological thriller that was directed and produced by Alfred Hitchcock. The film stars James Stewart and Kim Novak in the lead roles. The storyline is about John Scotty Ferguson, who's a retired San Francisco police detective who suffers from acrophobia. That's the fear of heights. And Marilyn, who is a lady who tends to lead him to high places. A wealthy shipbuilder who is an acquaintance from his college days approaches Scotty and asks that he follow his beautiful wife, Marilyn. He fears that she's going insane, maybe even thinking about suicide, as he believes that she is possessed by a dead ancestor who committed suicide. Scotty is really skeptical, but he agrees to take the assignment after he sees the beautiful Marilyn. The movie was shot on location in the city of San Francisco, as well as in Mission San Juan Bautista, Big Basin Redwood State Park, and Cypress Point on 17 Mile Drive. They also used Paramount Studios in Hollywood for interior shots. This is the first movie to use what's called a dolly zoom, an in-camera effect that distorts perspective to create disorientation. This was done to portray Scotty's fear of heights. As a result of it being used in this film, the effect is often referred to nowadays as the vertigo effect. The opening title sequence is pretty spectacular and is copied in a lot of movies later on. This was designed and done by Saul Bass, and it was his first use of computer graphics in a movie. The film was unavailable for 3 decades because its rights, together with 4 other movies of the same period, were bought back by Alfred Hitchcock and left as part of his legacy to his daughter Patricia. They've been known all along as the 5 Lost Hitchcocks among movie buffs, and they were re-released in theaters around 1984 after an approximate 30-year absence. The others in that list were The Man Who Knew Too Much from 1956, Rear Window from 1954, Rope from 1948, and The Trouble with Harry from 1955. Hitchcock was a master at influencing your mind to do things that it doesn't know that it's doing. One of the ways he did this is with the lighting changes that occurred during important events. For instance, when Scotty first sees Marilyn in Ernie's restaurant, the light around her becomes unnaturally bright for a moment. While Scotty is listening to the story of Marilyn's ancestor in the bookshop, it gets very dark. Once he exits the store, it brightens up again. When Scotty first sees Judy made up completely as Marilyn, she is lit by a blurred, ghostly green light, the reflective light from the neon sign outside the window. These type of effects put Hitchcock in a realm that few directors achieve. Costume designer Edith Head and Alfred Hitchcock worked together to give Marilyn's clothing an eerie appearance. Her trademark gray suit was chosen for its color because they thought it seemed odd for a blonde woman to be wearing all gray. Also, they added the black scarf to her white coat because of the odd contrast. But when Kim Novak reported for filming, she had all sorts of preconceived notions about her character, including what she thought she would wear and wouldn't wear. Before shooting began, she told the director that she didn't like the gray suit and black shoes that she had been slated to wear, thinking that they were too heavy and stiff for her character. She thought that she didn't think that it would matter to Hitchcock what kind of shoes she wore, but she had never dealt with Hitchcock before, and these small details are what he lived for: special designs and specific colors. The 2 things he wanted most in her wardrobe were these shoes and that gray suit. Hitchcock felt that the visual aspects of a film were even more important than the storyline. It's been mentioned that Kim Novak had a reputation for being kind of difficult. I'm not sure if that's true, but it's said that she didn't show up for work one day. She was basically striking for more money. You see, her home studio of Columbia was paying $1,250 a week, even though they were receiving $250,000 to loan her out for this one movie. The ploy worked, though, and she got a raise. Vera Miles was actually considered real strongly for this role. It's commonly reported that her pregnancy was the sole reason for her being replaced by Kim Novak, but that may not be the truth entirely. Jimmy Stewart is said to have expressed some concern over Miles's ability to play the role as early as November of 1956, and it's actually thought that Kim Novak was considered as a possible replacement quite a while before Miss Miles' pregnancy had been announced. It's pretty well known in Hollywood that Hitchcock loathed filming outdoors. He would often expend exorbitant amounts of money on studio sets to mimic exteriors. In this movie, he had an exact replica of the entrance to Ernie's restaurant recreated on a soundstage. This expensive and highly detailed set was used in 2 quick shots for a total of about 15 seconds on screen. Marilyn Monroe campaigned heavily to be cast in this role, but she was rejected by the famous director because he feared that her immense fame would overshadow everything else, and I think it probably would have. Kim Novak was born Marilyn Pauline Novak in Chicago to some pretty serious-minded Czech parents. Her father wanted nothing more than for her to be a good student. Her mother kept her in pigtails throughout her childhood and wouldn't let her wear makeup at all to ensure that she didn't attract the wrong sort. The Catholic family lived in an almost exclusive Jewish neighborhood, and the local children would pick on her constantly. It's said that she got knocked down, buried in snow, and mistreated daily. Her troubles continued. As a child, she was raped. She states that this happened in her early teens by multiple boys in the back seat of a stranger's car. She never told her parents about being bullied by other children or the fact that she was raped. Once in Hollywood, she runs into some more jerks in the film business. Hitchcock had a reputation for mentally torturing his female stars, but that never happened with Kim Novak. He treated her good. It was Harry Cohen, the head of Columbia Films, that she had a problem with. She called him a monster. He asked her to change her name to Kit Marlowe to make her more marketable in movies. She refused, but she compromised with Kim. Numerous times she would be waiting for a meeting with the studio head, and she would hear him say to the secretary, "Send in that dumb, fat Pollock." He just did everything he could to get a rise out of her. This guy was sheer evil. He would have been tarred and feathered in today's world. She eventually felt like to save her mental health, she needed to leave Hollywood behind, and that's just what she did. She ended up on the Pacific coast of Oregon and made a new life for herself. I think leaving Hollywood was the best thing that ever happened to Kim. The movie received mixed reviews on its initial release, but it's now often cited as a classic Hitchcock film and one of his defining works of his career. Take the time to go back and watch this exceptional film. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.